Welcome, everyone, to episode 106 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, well, it's time to get back on that Halo.
I think
get on that war the second time.
Is the R in RTS random?
It might be. It might be. But this episode, we're going to be talking about Halo Wars 2 Standard Edition. Now, get this, Tom. This was actually a co-development. Creative Assembly did most of the RTS, but I think 343 did some of the maybe lore, whatever nonsense.
Yeah.
Going over there. So
that tracks.
Yeah. And this game came out back in November of 2016. As usual, I played this on the PC, and it was a pretty sizable 48.62 gigabytes on the PC. Tom, what about you?
Interestingly, 43.8 gigabytes on the Xbox One. A savings of about 5 gigs.
There is savings. I mean, if Creative Assembly and 343 couldn't figure out how to reduce the size on the Xbox, since they are both Microsoft Studio development teams, they should probably be let go.
Yeah. Those are some real big problems if they can't figure it out.
Yeah. But what type of game is this?
I put RTS.
That's exactly what I wrote down because, yes, it is a real-time strategy game.
Yes.
And that's...
for anybody who doesn't know what RTS stands for.
Yeah, well, you never know.
I think
some
that's
people
necessary.
just come to listen to us, Tom. Hear us. So, they don't know about games. But we do, somewhat.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. But what about that game loop? What is the game loop of this game?
I put build bases and units by harvesting resources, then deploy those forces against the enemy.
Ooh, very, very direct.
And
I just put complete objectives by clicking your squad.
See, I'm not clicking anything on the controller.
Ooh, you're right. But I'm writing my notes. You write your notes.
It's true.
This is how it is.
Different experience. There was a lot of mouse clicking for you, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely there was. And speaking of those clickings and things, what about those likes? What did you like about this game?
I was like, I wonder if mouse clicks are in your likes, but I guess we'll get there.
Hey, I mean, in a way, I'm kind of glad I didn't play this game on a controller, but
Yes. Okay, so I will start by saying that it is surprisingly easy to control using the Xbox controller.
Wow. Okay.
I definitely was dreading this. And as I was playing it, I was like, you know what? They figured out a pretty good controller layout. Like, there's a lot of good ways to select units using buttons and so you're not really dragging out boxes and trying to click and drag and stuff. They did a good job. They did a good job with the layout.
So do you think this particular control layout would have worked with the other RTSs that we've played in the past?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because selecting units, deploying units, that sort of stuff. Yes, beautiful. It worked really well. But I think this RTS game is pretty simple. You build bases through sockets and then they come and airdrop and kind of attach it to your base.
Yeah.
It's different than a lot of other games where you have to maintain lots of different facilities all over the place.
Yeah.
There's really just kind of the one facility that you're managing. But I like that. I like that a lot because it is, especially if you're going to play it on a console, it makes things easy and kind of cool.
Yeah.
I dug it.
Yeah, I appreciate that they were thinking about both sides
Yeah.
of the, you know, the player inputs, right? Because you see a real time strategy, you immediately think mouse and keyboard is the way to go. But Creative Assembly did a good job of, at least from what you're telling me,
Yeah.
did a good job of mapping out the controls onto a controller. So cool, kudos to them. I want to say that this game had, I thought, a fantastic setup. I didn't actually do the tutorial, but the cutscenes and everything were really top notch. Like even to this day, I thought they looked really good, and they kind of got me pumped into what was going to happen in the story, because I was like, okay, I'm not a big Halo lore guy,
Hmm.
but seeing almost this side of the story was interesting, because a lot of times Halo is Halo and Master Chief are kind of hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
But to kind of see the other side with the other Spartans, the other like commanders and stuff like that, was kind of neat. So that's definitely something I wanted to bring up as a like.
Yeah. I think to your point, I think that opening cinematic like was really dramatic and
Yeah,
engaging. And I think the game is rich with story and lore. Like if you want to sit down and read what's effectively a novel,
right.
it's there in this game and in all the notes and codexes and things that, or whatever they call them.
Hmm.
Like there's a lot of content here if you're interested in this stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It adds a lot. Like I mean, kind of similar to at least like in our conversations with you in Star Wars, where like the Halo mainline kind of gives you the framework, and these kind of extra games and stuff like that kind of flesh out the world, the universe, and like they have apparently some great books and stuff like that out there as well. But yeah, so that's cool that it did its job in that aspect of it. And I got to say, I forget how epic Halo's music is, because
Mm,
again, it's like another thing that just adds to the layer of like this big battle that's happening between all these different factions. And it's great. It's great to again just get you more excited into what essentially is just a real-time strategy game. But like it was fun. It was fun to add, like it adds that, like you said, like the richness of it. So
yeah, I enjoyed that they took these RTS segments and kind of punctuated them with really dramatic, interesting cutscenes that
yeah,
like grab you, pull you into the story of it, and then you get invested.
yeah,
You're like you said, you're playing an RTS, but at the same time, you're learning about the characters in the world and getting to know them and being like, oh, I like this guy, and
yeah.
I,
Like
I,
I now the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm just like remembering this is the same feeling I had like when I was playing StarCraft. For the first
yes,
time, that they had great cinematics, and then yeah, you just plopped into the world, into the RTS, the isometric landscape. But it was still like you're invested in the characters that are there, because of like how they set it up with the cinematics and stuff like that. So yeah, and this game did have some pretty decent voice acting overall, I would say.
yeah, I thought the chatter between the
Yeah,
units was funny. It's
yeah,
entertaining. They've
yeah,
got one-liners. It feels very like watching an alien movie or a Predator or something. They're
yeah.
just the banter and the stupid things that they say to each other.
Yeah. And like you kind of alluding to, with the fact that the controls worked pretty well, I thought it was and mentioned that the tutorial, like it was a game that was pretty easy, like for an RTS, pretty easy to pick up and play. I
Yeah.
didn't play the tutorial, and I totally skipped that. I was like, oh, let me just see what the campaign's all about. And yeah, it like it was still kind of teaching you things
Hmm.
as you're playing, but it was not like in your face about it or being obnoxious about it. It was just kind of the flow of the game. Even like the first mission, I think you all you do is just move your character, like move the
Yeah.
units around. You're not even building anything. So that was cool.
Yeah, I think it was well done in the campaign. And if, like me, you were someone who went and actually did the tutorial, it's pretty quick. The tutorial takes about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Teaches the game, I think, at a really good clip. Teaches you base building, teaches you all the fundamentals, and is also like done in a lore in universe way, where
Oh,
it's like
okay.
you're prepping these units for like field work, and it's like, okay, we got to go and like test our equipment and that sort of stuff. And I was like, it was well done in a in universe way of doing a tutorial,
Yeah.
explaining it to the player,
Hmm.
breaking that fourth wall, but at the same time, keeping the tutorial inside the walls of the story, which was,
Yeah.
I thought, pretty cool.
That's cool. I also wanted to point out, like, this game has quite a few different gameplay options. I didn't play them all. I just played through the campaign, but it seemed like there was a lot. Like you said, there's they give you a nice tutorial. There's like a kind of land mode where you can kind of go one on one. There's a co-op mode apparently, and then there's some other things that were locked, at least from what I saw. I think you have to beat the campaign and then maybe it unlocks it or something like that. But again, like this seems like a lot of different. If you're into RTS and the way that they kind of laid everything out, it seemed like there's a lot of different ways to play this game. So
I concur.
yeah.
Well, we've said a lot of nice things. Are you ready to start saying some not so nice things?
Sure, we could do that. I will say, even though this game for the most part looks fairly decent, again, it's not a new game. I had some graphical issues where the foliage, like I cranked all the settings all the way up, and for some reason, when I turned the foliage setting on,
Mm-hmm.
it was just freaking out. It was like flashing all over my screen. So I had to actually turn off foliage completely for it to stop doing that. It was really weird. I don't know why I was doing that. So it was like, I don't know. Like, what about you? What are some of the things that you didn't like about this game?
So strangely, when I installed it, it didn't install the latest version, which I think is a
Oh,
weird thing to do. Like the game booted up, and then it was like, "Oh, need to update to the current," and I was like, "Huh, what?" I mean, it's a strange thing because I can't imagine that. I can't imagine that they had an update yesterday. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think that it's an older game. I'm pretty sure it should have had everything ready to go the second I started it up. Obviously, I'm nitpicking there, but right from the beginning, I was like, this isn't great.
You
And
know what?
then,
I just realized that, yeah, as you were saying that, I do remember having to restart the game once because of an update. Yeah, that is kind of weird. And I don't get that. Why would they do that? It's already 50 gigs. How much more are you downloading? Just get it all
exactly.
done. Whatever. So,
And I felt, and you were mentioning things that were locked. I'm pretty sure it was attempting to sell DLC before I even started playing. I think that locked content was store like additional
I
things
see.
for a price.
Yeah.
That was the impression that I got. And as we discuss all the time, I do not like to see those things before I have even begun.
Right.
You don't have the whole game here, says the game that you just installed.
Yeah.
I don't like
it. Yeah. As most RTS games, I'm sure it's just going to get more and more challenging. I mean, as a game in general is going to do, but I remember I've had flashbacks now of like StarCraft, those final missions where it was just almost impossible because I wasn't that great of an RTS player. So for me to get to those last bosses, I was doing every cheat to make sure like I had unlimited units and stuff like that. So like the same way, I know this game is just going to get more and more challenging and just more down because like as an RTS, there's so much like management in terms of squad units stuff. Even in my playthrough of that second mission, where I think you and I made notes about this. These missions are fairly sizable, like they're chunky.
Yeah.
missions. I didn't even finish it, that second mission, but the the fact that like you have your squads going out to conquer or like explore the map, and then at the same time there are enemy units coming after your base, and you're like, oh, I got to go back and like protect that too. It's like if you forget to update your or heal your turrets or whatnot, it becomes an issue real quick. So
yeah, managing multiple things in multiple places is certainly a challenge. Speaking of things that I found challenging, it's a sequel, but I have no idea what happened in the original game.
Yeah.
The game makes no effort to bring you up to speed on what happened in the past. Now, I put this in the dislikes, but I suppose it could live in someone's likes, where the game is just like, nah, the first game doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it definitely does. I just don't know how it matters. Like,
yeah. I mean, the game starts out in that opening cutscene. This ship where your units and stuff are apparently went into cryostasis for like, was it 28 years or something like that? And you're like, okay, and then you just like dropped into this other new location. You have to like do your thing, but yeah, like in a way, I was like, okay, what the heck happened? Like, it made me curious about what happened in the first one. But to your point, yeah, it just really just drops it there and like continues on with this particular story. So, I mean, I'm sure there's a YouTube or maybe even a Wikipedia that tells you about what happened in the first one. But yeah, I get it. Like that can be a little frustrating at times because, you maybe want a little teaser. Maybe not like you don't need a full recap of what happened in the first one, but for people like us that get to play the second game of a series, give us a little bit of a tease, or even just like maybe they have a little recap section.
Yeah, I mean, it could be just like, the beginning of a comic book where it was like, it just got a paragraph that says, in the previous game, these characters fought those characters and then went into sleepy time. And then it's like, oh, and here they are waking up.
Right. Oh, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense. Anything else you want to bring up there, Tom?
Yeah. So as cool as those cutscenes are, like really my whole hour felt like I was just watching a movie. Now, I enjoy watching movies,
Yeah.
But it did feel to me like I was like, man, there's a lot of cutscene here,
right.
for because it's not the kind of game where you're playing the game and it's a cutscene, It's not like Uncharted style cutscenes where the game is moving, but you're doing a cutscene.
Yeah.
This is very much like put down your controller because you won't be playing for a little bit.
Right. Yeah, and I guess the thing is they did in-game cutscenes as well as those full cinematic cutscenes. Yeah. So it was a little much in terms of you not doing a lot of that games. I mean, I don't know if it was as bad as say a Yakuza game, or or a Final Fantasy game, something like that.
No. I still spent a lot of time playing this game.
Right.
But it is, it did land in my dislikes where I was like, okay, like how, like if you went and dissected how much of the hour I was playing and how much of it I was watching cutscene, I don't know what that split looks like, but there's a lot of it was spent playing, watching cutscenes.
But I mean, pretty decent ones, but yeah.
I also wanted to, you mentioned it briefly before. One of the missions took me 36 minutes to beat, which means these are going to be a big time investment, right?
Yeah.
Like if a mission takes 36 minutes, like, I don't know. I'm playing one, maybe two at a time and that's it, Yeah. I'm not going to be able to play a lot, But
Right.
that makes sense. That's kind of par for the course for RTS games.
True.
You got to build your base first, and that takes time.
Absolutely, it does. You got to wait for all those units to build your, your barracks and etc. So, if that's all with your dislikes,
Yeah.
any other
I
thoughts
think so.
for you, Tom?
I did mention, or you did mention, that the game has a lot of modes. There's a mode called Blitz. I don't even know what it is. Like, this game is jam-packed with features, and being able to play the whole campaign cooperatively in a real-time strategy game is unusual.
Yeah.
But it's not unusual for Halo. So, kudos to
Yeah.
these guys for, keeping that Halo, standard even in this offshoot game that they made.
Absolutely. That is cool that they did that. And I feel like the campaign would be, or at least an RTS that would make it much more manageable, because like one person can be dealing with the base stuff and the other person doing all the exploring or whatever. So that's a really cool idea. Now, Tom, according to How Long to Beat, this game takes about 8 hours for the campaign.
I don't believe it.
I mean, that's what it says. It says 8 hours for the campaign. So maybe we were only an eighth of the way through the game.
I doubt it. It doesn't feel like 8 hours. You got to take on these guys' generals before you get to fight the main boss.
That's true.
I fought this general guy. He ran away. Like,
yeah,
I didn't even beat the guy.
The Atriox guy actually is referenced in Halo Infinite.
Okay.
I don't remember if he's still alive or whatnot, but yeah, I do remember. I remember hearing that name. Like, oh, okay. So it's cool that, things kind of come full circle and do all that stuff. So that's cool.
Like a comic book crossover.
Yeah, absolutely. And this game it's an older game, but it does have Xbox Play Anywhere, and it is cross-play compatible. So, Tom, you and I could have played this game cooperatively.
No way.
Yeah. I think it's pretty neat.
That is pretty cool.
So, but Tom, we got to find out though, is this game going to be stuck in our hard drives, or are we going to be, blowing it up with the rest of Halo? But before we get to that, we wanted to let you know about our spectacular sponsor, Winner Winner. Winner Winner is a live arcade claw machine game available on Android and iOS, and it's 100% skill-based. Trust me, if you see me play my games, you know I'm not that great, and I still have won games on my first try. There's hundreds of prizes, even featuring gaming merch from Nintendo. Pick your prize from choices in your particular game, or bank your earnings with tickets to redeem any other prize you want from their wide selection. And for all you lovely people listening or watching our show, you can get bonus tokens on your first app token purchase. Download and create your account, then use the link in the episode's description to enter promo code WHATITDO after you sign in. Check it out. It's clawsome.
So I should point out that Halo has never been something that I've played very much of. I think we played it together maybe in college, when it was a thing. But I never really got invested in the story and all that of Halo. And so I expected this to be pretty awful experience, playing an RTS on a controller about a game I don't care about. But I was absolutely delighted to be completely proven wrong. I did not want to stop playing. Like, my alarm was going off. You've reached your hour. And I was like, no, but I'm in the middle of the mission. I can't stop now. And I really was finding myself curious about like Halo in general. Yeah. Like, I'm like, all right, like maybe I messed up here. Maybe I need to go and play through all of these games. Maybe I need to start reading books and comics and all these things and get immersed in this.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to keep this, and I'm hopefully going to go back to it. My only concern is the large install size. 44 gigs takes up a lot of my Xbox One's hard drive. So,
well, I mean, it's only 8 hours, or well, at this point, 7.5 hours of your time.
Allegedly.
allegedly to at least complete the campaign, and then you can get your precious space back. But
how about you, Chris? How did you react to this?
Yeah, I'm actually in agreement with you, and I'm actually really more surprised about your response, because I didn't. This is another world that's in space. Like, I was like, okay, maybe Tom will like that, but I'm not very good at potentially reading your likes or whatnot. So I thought maybe you'd be like, it's not Star Wars. So I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. So, but I'm actually surprised that you're finding yourself more curious about the Halo universe. I enjoyed my time with this RTS world, and the lore that this game does do, like, just got me going, got my interest peaked. I feel like this did a better job of the lore than the mainline Halo series. So that was pretty cool. And because of that, I think, I'm going to keep this as well and probably finish this campaign just to see what the heck is going on. I don't know where it lies in terms of the main story, but it's at least got me curious about that. So,
good job, Creative Assembly 343.
I mean, Creative Assembly is not a spring chicken here. They've done Age of Empires. They've done some great games already. So, this is just more another feather in their cap in terms of the good stuff that they've done. But those are our thoughts. Let us know what you think of this game. Follow us and say hello on Twitter at TC1H1D, or shoot us an email at TC1H1D@outlook.com. And if you're on Twitch, check us out there at twitch.tv/1H1D. Or if you're watching this podcast on YouTube, send us a comment down below. I actually went back recently and just replied to everyone that was there. So I will try to do that as much as I can. And as always, guys, remember 1H1D is part of the QTB network. And if you like gaming podcasts and other really cool gaming content, check out Quit the Build. And there a whole other lineup at quitthebuild.com/network. So there's that. But Tom, are we hitting that surprise me button?
We are not.
What?
Though I'm sort of surprised.
Yeah.
Because we do have a game, and it was one of four choices.
It was one of four choices. We did do a Twitter poll recently and asked our audience on Twitter what they wanted us to play next. And we are playing Monster Hunter Rise. And that's a fairly recent game. So we're going to be checking that out and seeing if we like it or not. This is my second time playing a Monster Hunter game, but not this particular game. And I think, Tom, this is your first time in Monster Hunter?
I've hunted lots of monsters, but not in this franchise.
Yes, indeed. So we're going to be checking that out and giving you our thoughts. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into this episode, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thanks, everybody.